If you've tried everything humanly possible to brew great beer, but still brew beer that a hobo wouldn't drink, then you need to watch this entire presentation from start to finish. My name is Pat Quinn, and since 2005, I rarely buy beer from the bottle shop. And in this presentation, I'm going to share with you tips and tricks that took over a year to learn myself. You'll learn how to brew better beer than the macro brew rubbish that you buy from the shops at the moment. However, this presentation won't be online forever, so make sure you watch it now before I take it down for good. Before I learned about homebrew, I thought it was just a way to make cheap and nasty beer. I never thought that you could brew beer that tasted just like beer should be. But that all changed one Easter. I was sitting around with some of my uncles when one uncle got up to get us the next round. He brought back a few long neck bottles of Victoria Bitter, which is a really popular beer in my home state of Victoria, Australia. Thinking nothing of it, I took a swig and noticed something different. It tasted like VB, but at the same time it was a bit different. And after seeing the same look on a couple of my uncles' faces, I knew something was up. I was just about to open my mouth when the uncle who grabbed the beer said, "What do you think of my homebrew?" And suddenly it made sense. I was curious, so I started asking him how it works. And when he told me that it was possible to clone your favourite beers at a fraction of the price and then be able to custom tailor them to your liking, I was sold. 2 days later, when the shops opened up again, I went and spent $80 on a homebrew kit. I read all the instructions, I did everything exactly as they said, and I was really excited to hear it start bubbling away. A couple of weeks later, I was like a little kid on Christmas Eve. I couldn't wait to say goodbye to buying beers at the bottle shop. So, when my first beer was ready to be tasted, I was full of excitement. Until I actually tasted it, that is. Then, the excitement flew right out the window. You see, the beer tasted like absolute rubbish, to put it politely. And while it kind of resembled beer, it certainly wasn't what I was hoping for. So I got my uncle on the phone and I tried to figure out what went wrong. And then after watching my uncle brew beer at his house, I raced home and put down one of my own. And this time, I was really proud of myself. While it still wasn't perfect, it sparked a year-long search for the best way to brew beer at home. I did a lot more brewing. I read every book I could get my hands on. I even considered dropping out of my university course to study brewing instead. And after a year of experimenting, learning, and quite a lot of beer drinking, I had figured out a system for brewing top-notch beer every time. And one day, I pulled a trick on my friends. They were over for a couple of beers, and instead of popping open a few macro brews as I usually would have, I snuck in my own. And at first, my friends didn't believe that I actually brewed this stuff myself. But once they stopped calling me a liar, a couple of them started hassling me for tips on how to do it too. So I showed a few of them this one by one. But after doing this, I realised there were probably a lot more people out there, just like you, who want to learn how to make top-notch homebrew at home. Plus, I realised I could reach a lot more people if I just put everything I knew into a single book rather than teaching it to people one by one. And that's why I created Homebrew Mastery. The real truth about why you're not brewing the beer you want is that it's not your fault. There's simply just not enough good information out there for new brewers to learn from. So unless you have an uncle like me, it was nearly impossible to brew top-notch beer. The instructions that came with most brewing kits are pitiful and in some cases downright wrong. Most guys that work in homebrew shops don't know an ale from a lager, so they're no help either. And internet forums are so full of conflicting advice that it's impossible to know who to trust. But here are 4 big tips that will instantly improve your brewing. Number 1, if you want to brew great beer, you've got to have a consistent and effective system for cleaning everything. That's right, cleaning. If you screw this step up, then it doesn't matter what else you do. Your beer will only be good enough to pour down the sink. Secondly, start using malt for your beers. not sugar. While there are some styles where sugar is appropriate, you want to steer clear of sugar for the vast majority of them. Thirdly, you need a system for ensuring your beer brews at a consistent temperature. If you are getting some funky taste in your beer, this could very well be what you're doing wrong. And lastly, learn how to use the right yeast for the beer you're trying to brew. If you never master this, you'll never brew the beer that you want to. And here are some more of the things you'll learn with Homebrew Mastery. I'll show you how to build your brewery for next to nothing and still have it work perfectly. I'll show you what sort of bottles to use, because both colour and material matter. I'll show you the only way you should ever bottle your beer, and the difference between cleaning and sanitizing, and why it's important to know. I'll also show you the ingredients you need to use to ensure your brewing equipment is clean. If you get these wrong, you can completely ruin your beer. I'll tell you where to source the water for your beer, as this can really alter the taste of any beer. I'll explain to you the 3 methods of brewing, and I'll give you detailed instructions on each method, so it's absolutely idiot-proof. And I'll also share with you the 3 secrets of secondary fermentation. And you'll either waste months of time or end up with an average beer if you screw this up. I'll also show you how to brew authentic lager beer. Most people are actually brewing an ale, even if they don't know it. And also why dry hopping is an absolute must for some styles of beer. And I'll also, of course, show you how to do it properly, as well as the exact temperatures you need to brew your beer at for every style imaginable. And also, I'll give you my fail-proof system for cloning your favourite beer, whatever that may be. I'll also show you how to adjust the alcohol levels in your beer, so you can custom tailor them to be as strong as you like. You'll also learn how to do your brewing for half the price of novice brewers. Now, this tip alone is worth the price of the book. And I'll also show you how to tweak a kit beer and take it from average to fantastic. And the tricks that you need to do this are really simple. And of course, there's much more within Homebrew Mastery. So here's what you'll actually get if you grab a copy of Homebrew Mastery today. It all starts with the main book called Homebrew Mastery. Now, it's not exactly Shakespeare, but it is chock full of do this, then do that type instructions that make brewing awesome beer a cinch. Next up is the recipe book that contains 50 ready-to-use recipes that you can use right away. Then I throw in instruction sheets for kit, extract, and all-grain brewing. These are simple sheets you can just print off and follow along with as you brew. It makes life a lot easier until you get it down pat and it's completely second nature. So, is Homebrew Mastery for you? While I'm really proud of my book, it's not for everyone. If you just want to brew beer as cheaply as possible, then this probably isn't for you. But if you're someone who wants to brew, who wants to master home brewing and really create some awesome beer, then this is definitely for you. So, how much does it cost? Well, let's have a think about what it doesn't cost. If you were to spend a year experimenting with brewing the way I did, you'd waste a couple of $1,000s, not to mention a year's worth of time. So I guess this package would be still a bargain if I charged $1,000. But I'm not going to charge $1,000. I'm not even going to charge $100. I'm only charging $39 for the entire Homebrew Mastery package. And what if it doesn't work for you? What if you spend your hard-earned cash only to find out it's no good? After all, I'm just some guy on the internet, not someone you actually know. Well, in that case, it's absolutely free. Here's my Homebrew Mastery no worries guarantee. Grab a copy of Homebrew Mastery today, and if you're not completely blown away by the beer you start to brew, you have 8 weeks to get a full, no questions asked refund. I only want your money if you are completely satisfied. So by now there should be a button below this video. Click it and you'll be taken to the order form. Once you've paid your $39, you'll be able to instantly download the entire package. Nothing will be sent to your home. So quit wasting your time and money brewing terrible beer and learn the secrets that will have your friends begging to know how you do it. And remember, if you're not totally blown away with the beer you start brewing, you have 8 weeks to get a full, no questions asked refund. So click the button below and let's get started right away. Thanks for watching, and I hope you take action and start brewing the beer you always wanted. Thanks.